Hello, my name is Aubrey, and today I will be reviewing the Simon Snow Trilogy by Rainbow Rowell. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. I just binge read all three of these. Carry On was a reread for me. I read it when it first came out, but I read Wayward Son and Any Way the Wind Blows for the first time just this past week or two, and I absolutely loved them, and I want to encourage everyone to read these. So anyway, this is, absolutely going to be a very gush review. So yes, let's just go ahead and get right into it. I feel like in order to talk about these books, you first have to talk about the history of these books, the context of these books. So originally, the idea for Carry On, the novel, came from a book that Rainbow Rowell had published before this called Fangirl. And Fangirl was a book about a fangirl, a girl who was going to college, and she is kind of this quiet, nerdy type, and she writes this fan fiction online, which is actually in the story relatively, popular. And she writes this fan fiction about this alternative Harry Potter world that Rainbow Rowell invented for that story. So, we're following Simon Snow, the chosen one, who goes to Watford to learn to be a magician, and he studies under a mentor called the Mage, and he has this rivalry with a character named Baz. So, it's this kind of parallel, upside down, Harry Potter fan fiction that Rainbow Rowell invented herself. And so in the book Fangirl, there were chapters of Simon and Baz just kind of sprinkled throughout the novel. And from what I remember, as with, Harry Potter, it follows them through some of their various years at Watford. And the fan fiction that Kath, the main character from Fangirl, was writing was a male-male romance between Simon Snow and Baz. So I guess Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy. So, that was what it was. And then Rainbow Rowell decided that she wanted to write her own take on Simon and Baz. So it's not quite, the fan fiction that Kath wrote in Fangirl. It's Rainbow Rowell doing her own take on those characters and this sort of alternate Harry Potter world that she invented. So yes, then we got this wonderful creation, which is Carry On. And Carry On is this Harry Potter fan fiction. It's Harry Potter satire. I think there are several instances where she pokes a little bit of fun at Twilight as well. It is campy. It is a little bit over the top sometimes. It's funny. It's wonderful, it's romantic. Rainbow Rowell does just such interesting things with the chosen one trope that she continues throughout the whole trilogy. And I just highly encourage people to read this. I really just want to make the point that if you have read Fangirl and you didn't like the Simon and Baz chapters in Fangirl, please don't let that deter you from reading this. I have seen so many people either in anti-TBRs or unhauls say that, they don't want to read this because they didn't enjoy the Simon and Baz chapters in Fangirl, so why would they read this? And please trust me, take my word for it, please don't judge this book based on the Fangirl chapters. When I read Fangirl, I read maybe the first 1 or 2 chapters of Simon and Baz's chapters. I started skimming them, and then I'm pretty sure I started skipping them altogether, and I love this book. This is a 5-star book for me. So I just please, if you are one of those people who didn't want to read this because of Fangirl, just give it a try. It's not too late for you. Go to your local library, go to your local bookstore, pick this up. I promise you, okay? Unless just a queer, upside down Harry Potter parody fanfiction, if that doesn't sound good to you, fine. But if it does sound good to you, you won't regret it. I don't think you will. I really don't. I just think these books are so charming. The humor, they always make me laugh. Rainbow Rowell in general just She has such a quirky humor. She has this ability to write these just really lovable characters, and they're lovable so quickly. From page one, you like them and you're rooting for them. I love all of the characters in this novel, and again throughout the whole trilogy. I think obviously Simon and Baz are my favorite, just they're my favorite, but you know, I love Penny, I love Shepherd, who comes in later books, even Agatha, who is kind of like maybe like an unlikable stick in the mud. I still like her, like I still just find myself rooting for her and wanting her to like get what she wants and get what she needs, and for her to have her own happy ending. So yes, please read Carry On, read the whole trilogy. To me, these books are just so bingeable. Like I just couldn't get enough of them as I was reading them. They are not super plot driven, so maybe if you are a very plot-driven reader, these might not be for you because they're very character-driven. Like I would just say that especially the relationship between Simon and Baz, like that's what's propelling everything forward. You know, each book does have its own bigger plot going on, but generally speaking, I just don't think that those are like handled super well by the author, just being honest. But to me, genuinely, it doesn't matter because you're not really reading it for the bigger plot. You're reading it for the characters, and you're reading it for these character relationships and interactions. You know, you're reading it for the humor. Let's talk about Wayward Son for a minute. This is the sequel to Carry On, book 2, and this came out several years after Carry On was published. Carry On originally was meant to be a standalone, and the ending of Carry On definitely has like a nice round ending, and so if you wanted to stop after Carry On, you totally could. Like I said, she wrote it as a standalone, and then she decided to carry on with the books, and I am so glad that she did, because in this book specifically we are dealing with a lot of the trauma and heavy aftermath of what, you know, all of the characters went through in book 1. And to me, this is something that lots of writers just don't even, first of all, they don't even bother to touch on this. You know, they'll have characters go through something difficult and horrible and traumatic, and then, you know, it's just all like rainbows and happy endings. And I really appreciate that Rainbow Rowell wanted to kind of explore what comes after, because what comes after is like a lot of emotional turmoil, you know? That's what we're dealing with in this book. When this was published, it got a lot of, I would say, negative or mixed reviews, and that's because when this was published, it was not marketed as a middle book in a trilogy. This was just thrown out there as the sequel to Carry On, and so I think people were expecting something very, very different from this book as just kind of a follow-up than what is in here. In this one, we are going on this road trip through America. I think readers were really expecting this to be much more fun, much fluffier and cuter than it is. Like this is not that book. This book is dealing with some heavy stuff and things going awry in everyone's life and that kind of thing. So I personally gave this book 5 stars, but I gave it 5 stars knowing, you know, here in 2021 that this is the middle book in a trilogy. And so, you know, I just want to say that if you had heard bad things about this book and you were afraid to carry on, I really highly encourage you to do so, because I think everything that you would want out of this book, you get in this book. This is quite a chunky book. This is definitely not like a fun, fluffy romp, but it is like you will get so much more sweet character stuff in this one than you did in this one. So yes, I absolutely loved this book. I flew through it. I just, like, every spare moment I had, I was like devouring this book. Again, just Simon and Baz are my favorite, and we get so much of them. It's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful. My only complaint with this book is that there are 3 separate plots that are going on in this book. I guess small spoiler, mild spoiler, I don't know. But none of them ever like converge. Like they're all just sort of in their own lane, and they never actually end up having to do anything with one another. That is my like one complaint with this. But even then, I still gave this 5 stars because, you know, ultimately that doesn't take any of my enjoyment away from this book, because I'm not reading it for the plot. And while I do think the plot in this one was maybe the most interesting, at least it was to me, I don't care. I don't care. I am reading this because I love these characters so much. And like, I don't care what we do. We could just sit in a room and talk for, 500 pages, and that would be all right with me, So yeah, I love these. I am decently satisfied with how it all wraps up, though I think that Rainbow Rowell does leave it in a place where there could definitely be more books. And to be perfectly honest with you, I hope that there are. I would read 100 Simon Snow books. I want, a whole lifetime of Simon and Baz. Like I would take it. So yes, the series does have a somewhat satisfying ending, but if you're familiar with Rainbow Rowell and her other novels, she really doesn't like to tie everything up in a neat bow, and generally speaking, she leaves a lot to the reader's imagination in terms of an ending, a conclusion, and she definitely does that with Any Way the Wind Blows. The trilogy is definitely not wrapped up perfectly, but I think it is satisfying. Like I said, she does kind of leave some room for potentially more books. I read an interview with her where she basically said she would be open to writing more books one day, but for right now, she has other things that she wants to write. So I will also say that by book 2, the series does really sort of break away from that Harry Potter satire. In Carry On, we are at Watford. The Harry Potter references and atmosphere and whatever is really heavy in this one, and I think some people didn't like that as much. And so I will say that, book 2 and 3 really do break away from that and sort of come into their own, if that makes sense. If you read Carry On and you didn't love the Harry Potter ness of it all, I encourage you to keep reading, because I think they're great. I love these characters so much. I just think every character relationship is just so enjoyable, like not just Simon and Baz's relationship, but also like Simon's relationship with Penny and Baz's relationship with Penny, and then like Agatha's kind of jaded relationship with everybody else. There's so much to love about these. So yes, if you love character-driven books with really, really lovable characters, I highly recommend you pick up Carry On, Simon Snow Trilogy by Rainbow Rowell. It's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Hey guys, editing Aubrey here, and I just wanted to pop in and clarify something, because I really hate it when reviewers just hold up a book and say, this was amazing, I gave it 5 stars, and then they don't clarify. So for me, when I say that these books are 5 stars, what I mean is that it's 5 stars of like pure serotonin. You know what I mean? Like 5 stars of absolute page flipping enjoyment. Like those kinds of reads where you're thinking about them even when you're not reading them, right? And you can't wait to get back to the story. I am by no means saying that these books are perfect. In fact, I think there is plenty to complain about, and there are certainly many things that you could nitpick about this series. For example, the overarching plots are pretty thin, and therefore, if you're a very plot-driven reader, I think that the pacing of the story is going to feel really, really off. The world building is a bit lackluster. Some readers are going to find the magic system like really hokey. Personally, I think it's right on that line of being satirical and campy. Like I find it funny and enjoyable, but some people are really not gonna like it. In fact, I've seen that as a common complaint of this series. There are certain like plot points that get introduced and then just like dropped altogether, or they'll get like a sentence of wrap up conclusion to them. So, you know, again, there are things to complain about. There are things that make the series imperfect, definitely. And I just want to absolutely highlight those things, because I think when you hype up a series too much or you hype up a book too much, often then readers will go into it thinking that it's perfect all around when, you know, that may not be the case. So yeah, definitely this series is not perfect, but I love it anyway. I think Rainbow Rowell's strong suit really are her characters and her humor, and, you know, with these books, I think that just really, really shines. So yeah, just wanted to add this little bit in, and now we can go back to the video. If you have read the Simon Snow trilogy, please leave your spoiler-free thoughts down in the comments. Or wanting to read this trilogy, or you have questions, or anything like that, please, again, leave me a comment. I really, really hope that you will give these a try. So yeah, that is it for my review, my spoiler-free review. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye.